Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here. Well, you've been around some great coaches and already in your time, and I'd love to hear. I think this is a fun conversation to have with coaches of what they think are the main characteristics. Like if you could choose three, what are the three characteristics of a great coach? I'd love to hear that from you.
Well, I think the first one is kind of what we were just talking about, is the who are you at the core, and there's a million ways to skin a cat. There's a million ways to coach basketball, to coach any sport, really. And if you were to align probably three coaches in one league, just to keep it a small sample, I guarantee you no three coaches the same of how they approach each day.
Yep.
But I think staying true to the core of who you are, no matter how you choose to do it, I think makes a coach good and special. Because anyone who tries to step out and go a different direction just to blend in or stay with the times, then it becomes hard, because I think the characteristic of a program starts with the man up front. And so, your culture and your core beliefs have to match who you bring in. The second part is who you have around you. I think it's very important to have people who have the same mentality and same approach, whichever the approach is, because again, it's their job is to help you organize and lead and build the success. And it would never work if the mindsets are going different directions. And the last part is the relationship. I think this sport and this generation of athletics needs a little bit more relationship than normal. I think, and I'm not too old myself, but I think there's a gap here between kids who need love and kids who need attention. And I think that difference right there is a fine line that a coach who can decipher it, and organize it and put it together, becomes a lot easier to do their job at a high level.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. How do you know the difference between the two? Obviously, first it starts with you have to have a relationship with that person, right, or you're really just guessing at that point. But right, once you do have that relationship, what's a sign?
One thing, and this, I think Coach Estelle and Coach, I can name a lot of coaches who've taught me this, is you've got to coach everybody the same. And a guy shows up late who averages 12, 14 points for you and is your leading scorer, he's got to be coached as the same as the guy who just walked in the door 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the more that you can kind of put everybody right there in the middle and make everybody feel like they're equal, you'll be able to decipher the ones who need the love and the ones who just seek the attention or need the attention. Because if you hold everybody to the same standard, it becomes a lot easier to tell. But if you tiptoe one guy and you absolutely blast one, and you never tell anybody this, then at that point, kids can tell. Transparency to me is the most important thing. And if you sit there and you tell a guy, look, man, I'm purposely being hard on you more than anybody else because I'm depending on you to do more. Be a leader, be vocal, be this, etc. But I'm just letting you know up front, I'm holding you to a higher standard. Can you accept that? And some kids will say, yes, they can, and they sometimes can't. And some kids will be like, Coach, no, I can't. So then at that point, you've already known, okay, he needs my love, because he's not going to accept the hard bearing, be the guy I need you to be, versus the guy who says yes and then still shows up late and he needs the attention. And so that's the fine line of difference, to where if you have the right relationship with the guys, you can be as honest as you can and see the results as they need to be.
I love that you asked that question of them, because I think so many times we coach them all, and coaching them all the same, we just assume that we can hold all of them to our standards. And I know outwardly it seems like, well, you should hold everybody to your standards. But at the same time, like, you got to ask them, is this something that you want? Because you're right. It's like truth or harmony. Right. I ask players, do you want truth or do you want harmony? Harmony is kumbaya. Everything's great. It's that Lego movie. Everything is awesome. We're just moving forward and pretending as if everything's okay. Or do you want the truth? And they will all say, yeah, coach, we want the truth. I think most people want harmony. I think I want harmony. Like with my wife at home, I want harmony. You know, truth is difficult. But truth is what's necessary. But I think if you can get them to understand, like, literally, this is your choice. You get to choose whether I tell you the truth and I hold you these standards or not. But understand, if not, there are consequences that come with that as well. Consequences possibly in your role. You know, how much leadership that you're given. It could translate to the floor as well. Because I think those guys that do want the truth, do want to be held to high standards, they'll receive that and they'll improve from it. And hopefully that translates, right?
And absolutely. And everybody has a why, right? Like everybody, and sometimes it goes back to the three, characteristics. The why of kid A may not be the why of kid B, but both whys have to be enough to make it work. And so as a coach, you got to decipher, well, this kid just wants to be on the team. This kid wants to make it past this point. This kid just wants to have a great college career. Yeah. And so it's up to us to be able to have the relationship with all three and be like, okay, how can we make it work? Well, one of those three is probably not going to make it. But you still have to coach them and hold them, because at the end of the day, you signed off on their lives being in your hands through the parents and recruiting in our world of saying, I'm going to help raise your kid into a young man by the time he leaves here with a degree. And, at your level, every level has a different, this is what you're holding for. In high school, you're trying to get to be college basketball players. Yeah. Well, in college, you may try to be a professional. And, lower levels, high majors, you're trying to make the draft, and you're trying to get drafted, or you're trying to play. They're NBA guys, you're trying to be a Hall of Fame player. You're trying to last in the league as long as you can. So, there's always a carrot that you can hold over someone and be like, look, if this is what you want to do, conversations I've had with a couple seniors, that I'm not coaching you. I'm coaching you for the senior year of you to be the standard of the bottom, because, they're the ones you're the one they look up to. But I'm also coaching you for, you can't work as a college senior and then expect to just be a pro at the next. There's got to be a keep improving. Yeah. And so it's just conversations that you have with them to just keep them involved. But again, it's I'm giving you tough love. I'm giving you real love. I'm giving you conversation. I'm not just, hey man, I need you to play Thursdays and Saturdays.
Yeah. And I wrote down attention or love. And I think obviously there are those times, maybe it comes back to a little bit of what their home life is like, how they were raised, that they might need one more or the other. But I think there's a lot of opportunities too, where you can really, it's both. Like the kid needs both, right. And the love part has to be there. Obviously, some kids don't need as much attention. Right. Like they're coach, I'm okay. You tell me what I got to do. I've got I know who I am. I know my why, and I'm just going to work. I think maybe a difference maker, or what makes like from good to great in coaching, is knowing whether they need attention or love, but also times when we just got to bring both. Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.